Yeah.
Okie dokie. Excellent. So, hello, everyone. My name is Allison Daigle, and I am the co-director of the Autism Alliance. I would like to thank you all for joining us this evening for social skills tips to start the new school year. I hope you enjoy this evening. The Autism Alliance Linda M. Olson Library is pleased to welcome guest speaker, Coach Allison Marean from Successfully Social New England. Allison will be sharing some of her favorite tips to help your child get off to a great start for this school year. We will also be introducing a new Autism Alliance and Successfully Social monthly parent group called Brain Chat, where parents can ask questions and get support on the spot. The Autism Alliance is pleased to have Allison exclusively with us tonight on Zoom. This program is scheduled from now 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. And with that being said, I turn it over to Coach Allison.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad you guys joined me. Thank you. I realized, like we were kind of chatting about before we got started, I realized the school year started off and it was like, bang, here we go. I know we're all feeling that. I know we're all in the same boat. So I love that Allison gave everybody the plan. I know that my brain likes to know the plan because I'm also a busy mama who's got a million things going on. So I plan on wrapping this up by 7:30. I have a PowerPoint presentation and I will go into more of my group plan if you're just patient with me while I share my screen.
And I'll just let folks in as they come, okay, Allison?
Perfect.
Okay.
So just to give everybody a little bit of a background, I was a former special education teacher. So typically I have like a million tabs up and I love a PowerPoint. So here we go. But all of a sudden, where is my present? Oh, here we go. Okay, so I know we did social skills tips for the beginning of the school year, but this came to me the other day when I was doing this. I surviving the whole school year, because really these tips hopefully will be something that you take and you get into and you make them all like a daily habit. That's what a lot of them are. So thank you again for being here and joining the Zoom tonight. Zooms used to not be my favorite thing, but now I actually do love them because it connects so many people and we are able to all talk while we're doing different things at softball games, hanging out with our kids, being parents. I love it. So thanks for being here and sharing your time with me. See, we have one more person joining us. So I'm just going to pause a second, give them a second. Hello, hi, thank you for joining us. You are right on time. We're about to start our presentation. I'm just going to mute everybody. Perfect. Thank you. Let's see. My name is Allison Marean. I am from Successfully Social, and I am running this presentation just to give everybody who just jumped on a little background. So here we go. So the group plan tonight, like I said, I like to know the plan. This is something that I always do with my clients. I love to give everybody a heads up. So our group plan tonight, first, we're going to talk a little bit about me, not for very long. Then I'm going to share my social tips. We're going to talk about some brain chat info. If we have time, we'll ask a couple of questions. We can do a little question and answer time. And then we will say goodbye and enjoy the rest of our night. So a little bit about me. My name is Allison Marean. Again, I'm a wife and a mama of two beautiful babies. I have a son and a daughter. All of a sudden they grew like 10 inches. So these pictures were just from like this past winter and fall, but now they look totally different. My kids are 10 and 8. So every season it seems like, they're making huge jumps. I'm also an animal mama. I have a rabbit and chickens. My pup passed away. All right. So a little bit more background about me. Like I said, I started off as a special education teacher. I worked in the Boston public school systems. I also was a para for a little bit at the Cotting School in Lexington. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that school, but that is an amazing school. So while I was teaching in Boston, I decided that I wanted to explore the world more. So I moved out to Colorado, was a teacher out in Colorado. And that's when I was introduced. Well, I guess not introduced. I guess that's when I noticed that things needed to change. I loved working with kids. I loved being a teacher. Didn't really like the politics of education. And I also didn't like that there was no social learning was going on. I was working with kids with so many different ranges of abilities. And a lot of times my job as a special education teacher was to help kids transition into the general ed classroom so that they can for that blended learning model. And it was always like, I was more, trying to accommodate their work, but also they needed to understand the social emotional part of being in a classroom. And that was really something that I couldn't focus on. So long story short, I jumped out of the school system. That is me in the middle with my friend who was the school psychologist at the time. We both decided enough is enough. We need to work on social emotional skills. So we left our high paying teaching jobs, not really. And we opened up Successfully Social in Denver, Colorado. So these are some old throwback pictures. I did a camp at Colorado Academy. We always try to do some art. I always like to incorporate different creative ways for kids to learn, because worksheets and sitting at desks, like you all know, does not work for everybody. That is not how brains function. So we like to be creative. Down the bottom right is my happiness wall. I always carry around a happiness wall. And that is something that at the end of my groups or individual sessions, I ask people to write what makes them feel happy on a little Post-it and add it to the board, because I like to do a lot of positive psychology things. And as I'm sure you all know, our brains tend to naturally go negative. So the happiness wall acts as a visual reminder that sometimes we actually need to think those happy thoughts to eliminate those negative thoughts that might be jumping into our brain and taking over. So I love a happiness wall. And if anybody wants one, let me know, send me an email, and I'll send you your own little happiness wall. I would love to share that with you. All right, we have more people jumping on. Nice. I'm just going to pause a second as they connect. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. You're just on time. We haven't started really anything. I'm just giving a little bit of background about myself. My name is Allison Marean. My business is Successfully Social, and these are some old pictures of my business. Okay. Oops. Hold on. Okay, social coaching. So social coaching is, I do not do ABA. What I am doing is teaching the thinking behind the doing, how our actions impact the thoughts and feelings of others. I help people increase their social competencies, things like social attention, social interpretation, personal problem solving, and then how to socially respond to a variety of social situations. I kind of already talked about how I love to do hands-on project-based group activities. Some of my groups are just conversational groups. It all depends on the makeup of the group. Let's see. Just going to move my screen a little bit so I can see everything. Okay. So the people that I work with, neurodiverse learners, bright and quirky kids, a lot of times people that benefit from social coaching have weakness in attending to a group. They may appear awkward or kind of shy. They might appear anxious or kind of isolate themselves when they're in social situations. Sometimes people with social learning challenges experience a lot of peer conflicts or drama. A lot of times they feel more comfortable around adults or kids that are much younger than them. They might have difficulty picking up on social cues or difficulty entering groups or initiating conversation or sustaining conversation. So, all right. So here are my 5 social skills tips to survive the school year. And for those of us, sorry, for those of you who just joined, I know that this was titled something like surviving the first week of school or something, but I changed it the other day because we need these tips throughout the whole year, because the hardest part of the school year is not necessarily just the beginning. I don't know about you guys, but I sometimes find the winter to be challenging, or the end of the year can be challenging. I don't know. It's all challenging for different reasons, right? So my tips, we have checklists and calendars, plan and prep, connections and conversations, after school strategies, and screen time management. Okay, so checklists and calendars. How many people, I realize some of us have our cameras off, which is fine. You can also put it in the chat or whatever works for you. But how many of you already use checklists and calendars at home? I know, like I said, I'm a teacher, so I love this kind of stuff. And sometimes people don't really use checklists and calendars. Yes, I'm getting some thumbs up, some hands. All right, cool. So if you already use this, great. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why these can be helpful, not only for our parent brains, but also our kids' brains. Like we talked about at the beginning of this session, we all like to know what's going on. We all like to know what the group plan is. And a lot of times for our kids, a lot of stress can be brought on when we have no idea what to expect, right? Some of our kids have trouble following time or understanding time or thinking about their schedule. So having checklists and calendars can be very helpful for organizing our brains, organizing it in a visual way so that everybody is on the same page and following the group plan. So I love a checklist. I love a calendar. Like I said, visual reminders are great. Sometimes I put things on the checklist that you have to do. For my daughter, I put things like you have to do your reading and math homework on, and we came up collaboratively. We came up with Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays because she has to do these things 3 times a week. Yeah, 3 times a week, reading and math. So we talked about it and I shared with her that a good strategy would be to do it at the beginning of the week so we have more time towards the end of the week if something takes a little bit longer, if mom has a meeting on Wednesday, if something else pops up, then you still have some time at the end of the week to make up those assignments. That can also be helpful for kids who don't really like to do homework. And it's like, well, let's get it done at the beginning of the week. So by Thursday, Friday, we're coasting and we're just kind of finishing the week. For your calendar, don't forget to schedule in some fun family time, some fun family activities. One thing about me is I'm all about fun. I'm all about laughter. I do believe that our time on this earth is very short. And if you're not having fun, then what is the point? So try a short game after dinner instead of TV. Sometimes those, even if it's like 15 minutes, I get it. We're all busy. And sometimes as parents, we're like, okay, we're going to eat dinner, then we're going to take baths, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to go to bed. And that's it. I suggest to you, I highly suggest to you that you add in a little bit of fun. As we all know, the past few years have been so super challenging. Life is challenging. So you need to really sprinkle in the fun. Use these checklists and calendars as a tool, not a punishment. I don't ever want my kids to look at the checklist and be like, ugh, mom's checklist, blah. I want them to see them as tools, as helpful things, as a helpful strategy. So the benefits of calendars and checklists: help kids develop good habits. Everybody in your family feels connected, calm, and comfortable because they know what's going on. It also can increase personal responsibility and accountability. And also, if we want to help our kids kind of get into the swing of things, rather than answering all those questions all the time that we do, we can say, oh, hey, Lincoln, Lincoln's my son. Hey, Lincoln, go check the fridge. That's where our checklist is. Go check the fridge and see what you have to do next. So he has the responsibility to go over there and look and read and see what he has to do. Everybody with me? Thumbs up. Yep. All right, cool. And feel free to interrupt if anybody has questions. We have a small group, so if anybody has a question, feel free to hit the raise hand button or try to interrupt me. I don't know. I'm kind of a fast talker, so. All right, so here is an example of my checklists and calendars. So on the left here, and I don't have these all up, so on the left, I have these little dollar store frames that I made for my kids. This was for last year. Time for school. These were all the things that they had to do in the morning. Some of this stuff during the school year, we had to switch around, and I ended up putting it in an order. It depends on your kiddo, what works best for your family. Sometimes kids don't need an order. Sometimes parents want them to do it in an order. Sometimes getting dressed before you eat breakfast is not a great idea. So that was one thing that had to be switched around on this little checklist. And obviously this is an old one, get a mask. Yay, I'm kind of glad we don't have to worry about that this year. So that is helpful. And then I also have down here, you can see this is my welcome home checklist, because I was so tired of saying, put away your shoes, put away your bag, empty your lunch bag, do this, do that, wash your hands, put your masks in the laundry, do this. So this checklist, I can say, I can refer to the checklist again. Did you do everything on the checklist? The expectation, mom's expectation, the group expectation, the family expectation is that you do all this stuff when you get home, so we all feel calm and comfortable. So mom doesn't lose her mind later when she trips over a bag, right? I don't know how many times I've heard my husband say, Lincoln, you got to move your backpack. So rather than have people come home and get upset, let's try to follow our checklist. In the middle, this is hard to see. I did have a big calendar, and Katie, I bet you can relate to this. This year, my daughter plays field hockey and my son plays ice hockey. So I had to take my big monthly calendar and put it and print out just a 2-week calendar, because seeing the whole month was too much and I couldn't fit everything on the day. And as you all know, the days change, the weeks change, right? So on top here, I have a 2-week version of my calendar. It's through Google Calendar. When you actually print, there's a way to view it and you can customize your view. I suggest a 2-week view because you can see this week and then see what's coming up, so you can plan for the week ahead. Yes, I think a 1-week calendar is not enough. So I definitely say go with 2 weeks. If you need 3 weeks, do that. But again, that becomes a lot. So 2-week calendar is a suggestion. And like I said, my kids and these checklists, now that I see this all in one image, it seems like a lot. But I also had a summer routine checklist because, as you all know, when there is no set schedule like school and work, and I'm sure we all dealt with this during the pandemic, when everybody's schedule is kind of thrown off, it's like, whoa, what are we doing? So our summer routine was just basically like daily habits for my kids to keep up with. So a lot of it was things like, we were getting to it be like lunchtime and I'm like, who's brushed their teeth today? And it's like, nobody. So in order to make sure that we follow those daily self-care things, I just made it a simple little checklist. And then of course, as you can see, 9 a.m. devices off. I had to add a couple things. And then here is my little post-it pool checklist. So this is everything that they wanted to bring to the pool when we had our pool pass. So sunblock towel, hairbrush, $4 for the snack bar, and a water bottle. Any questions about checklists and calendars? I think this is a really good one, especially for the beginning of the year. But again, this is something that I would keep it throughout the whole year. Have kids mark it off. If your kid is more of a visual learner and you need to add pictures, go ahead and add pictures, add emojis if that works for you. Yeah, when my kids were younger, I used to draw t-shirts next to clothes, the word clothes, because they couldn't read. So I would draw images. So, all right. Next strategy, plan and prep. Plan for the week ahead, prep the night before. I know it is not always fun to do that stuff. When somebody says meal prep to me, my skin crawls. I'm not a meal prepper, but I think having an idea of what you're going to do, like have an idea of what meals you're going to have for the week, can be super helpful. I know that is something that I have shifted this year. I've made, it's another piece of paper on my calendar, on my refrigerator, that just says like Monday, what we're having for dinner, Tuesday, what we're having for dinner. So everybody has a heads up, including my husband. That's probably more for my husband now that I think about it. So plan for the week ahead, have everything on the calendar so everybody can see. Again, it all goes back to the group plan. A lot of times we start to feel uncomfortable when there's huge shifts in the schedule, when something happens that was like unexpected. So having a calendar can help us make those necessary shifts. We can see something. If something pops up, we can talk it through with our kiddos. Hey, we were supposed to have this, but now it's going to be moved over here and we're going to be doing something different right here. I think that's really helpful. And if you can see everything, it's a way to organize your thoughts so that if something does unexpectedly happens, you can see it. Everybody can see what needs to shift. Prep the night before. I am a firm believer in starting your mornings off right, having a good morning routine, which is not one of my tips, but it should be. Morning routines are everything. And one thing, if you can avoid chaos in the morning, it's by prepping the night before. Nothing is worse than waking up in the morning and, I don't know, having all your clothes in the washing machine still wet. Or having homework scattered all about, or having to print something off, or figuring out that you ran out of bread. I don't know. These are just some things that have happened in my house. So it's helpful to prep the night before. I think that some people really like to prep everything and have meals like already together. That's not my personal style. That's okay if that's not your personal style, but I think the more prepping you can do will really benefit you. At my house, we pack up the school bag, pick out clothes, and your homework goes in the bag. I don't really make lunches the night before because that's something that's kind of easy for us. Again, prepping the night before, it doesn't have to be a whole thing. It doesn't have to take a long time. Show kids how you can do it really quick and make it fun. I love telling my kids, all right, we're going to put on 2 songs and we're going to try to do our stuff by the time the 2 songs are over. Don't make them too much of a catchy song because you'll end up dancing and singing and totally throwing yourself off. So if you need to, just set the oven timer, but a timer or a couple of songs, and let's get it done so that we can hang out and have fun. Everybody is motivated by the idea of just hanging out and having fun. So if you can tell your kids a little buy-in, hey, the sooner we get dinner done and our bags all packed up, we can hang out, we can watch TV, we can play a game. A good idea is to teach kids how to write themselves a note to remind themselves of things they need to get in the morning. Or write yourself a note about something that you're thinking about. Sometimes our kiddos can get really caught up in those like worrisome thoughts, those nervous thoughts. And there is so much, I don't know, what is the word? What am I looking for? It can be so powerful to just get your thoughts written out on paper, even if it's just a little post-it, even if your kiddo says something about, in the morning, I am going to practice my multiplication so that I'm prepared for the test tomorrow. Even writing something out like that can help decrease those worrisome thoughts, those anxious thoughts, and just get that energy out, get that thought out of your brain onto paper, and then you can worry about it in the morning. You can think about it in the morning. The benefits for planning and prepping, again, it helps to calm your mind so you can sleep better, helps with self-regulation, and again, is a good way to develop those healthy daily habits that you're going to want your kiddo to have when they get older and they're more responsible for their own things, right? We can't wait until our kids are 17, 18 years old to teach them stuff. So the more you can help them out with this when they're younger, the better off they are. Although I'm pretty sure that most of us were taught this stuff when we were older. I know that I was never taught this stuff when I was young, but it is really important and it's great to practice. I wish I practiced prepping the night before when I was younger, but that's all right. I got it now. Connection and conversations. I think that this is a really important strategy to keep going throughout the whole year. Check in with your kids and have conversations before and after school, and also ask questions that require more of a response rather than a yes or no answer. I love to ask my kids, what's your favorite part of the day? Or what did you do at recess? Kids love talking about what they did at recess. Or who did you play with? Or who did you talk to? Did you talk about Pokemon today? Did you talk to anybody about Minecraft? Another one I like to ask my kids is, did anyone do anything unexpected today? That is a great question to, sometimes it can be hard to talk about ourselves and talk about what we did during the day. And sometimes our kids don't want to talk about what they did. You know, nobody wants to come home and say, oh, I really blew it in school. I didn't understand math. And then I got in trouble in this one and this and that. People don't really want to share that, but you can open up the doors to conversation and talk about problem solving by talking about somebody else. And I'm not talking about in a mean way, but ask your kiddo, did anything unexpected happen? Did a teacher get mad? Did anybody, I don't know, forget their homework or forget something? And then if they say, oh yeah, so-and-so forgot their whole backpack at home, so their mom had to come and then this happened and da 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 da, that can open up a whole conversation about problem solving. And you could say something like, oh my gosh, can you imagine if you forgot your backpack? Ah, what would we do? What would you do then? How would you react if you forgot your backpack at school? How would you react if you realized you forgot your lunch at school? What would you do? It's a great way to talk about and have your kid kind of do that planning and prepping for those problems if they happened. And by talking about it happening to somebody else, it relieves that pressure. And it's not like, oh my God, I did this. Look what I did. So you're kind of using somebody else as an example to learn from. Is that helpful to everybody? Does anybody want to chat more about that? Good. Okay. Connect. I love to, sometimes there's nothing to talk about at school. Sometimes kids are like, oh, it's boring. And I think that it's really powerful when parents share a story or share an experience, something that happened to them. Share a story about when you were in school. Share a funny story, share an embarrassing story, and then share how you moved on from it, what you did to overcome, what you did to problem solve. I have shared a couple times in a couple of groups the story of when I got sick in school and I was in second grade and I puked all over the classroom. It was so embarrassing. And it was like, but here I am today, 40 years later, and I'm okay. And I've moved on from it and I've learned from it. And I know what to do in an embarrassing situation, and I can help my kids and I can talk about it. And they have so many questions and they're like, oh my God, mom, and then what? And I always talk about, what I should have done. And that's what's helpful to people, to kids also, is talk about what you should have done or what you would have done differently. Again, it relieves the pressure off of them, because I think a lot of times when kids are at school, they feel like the spotlight is on them. And if they make a mistake, if they do something wrong, it's like, woo, 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 everybody's looking at me. So we want to help our kids understand that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not know how to do something, because that's the whole point of school. And that's the whole point of life. We learn how to do new things, right? That's what's cool about it. Timing, connection and conversations. Timing is everything. And don't give up when you pick your kid up and you're like, how was school? And they say good, and they don't want to talk about it anymore. Don't give up. Sometimes you just have to pick a different time to talk. A good time to talk with your kid is maybe when you're saying goodnight. Talk about what went well during the day, what they would want to change, how they can make changes tomorrow, what they could do differently tomorrow to make it a better day. Talk about while you're sharing a meal or a snack. I don't know, I'm sure I'm not the only one in here who gets hangry, right? Who wants to talk when they're tired, when they're hungry, when they just got home from work or school? Nobody. Give your kid a snack. Give them some time to eat something, get their blood sugar levels regulated or evened out, and then have a conversation. Sometimes you can't really push it when you just get in the car or they just get off the bus. Sometimes you gotta wait a little bit. I also enjoy conversations when you're outside, walking the dog, just outside in nature, waiting for the bus, waiting for somebody else to get off the bus. Sometimes being outside, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the openness, but it can just make people want to talk more. Or sometimes it's okay to also just sit in silence together. Silence is also pretty good. I'm sure sometimes people are like, I don't want any more silence. I want to hear what's going on. I want to know what's going on. But sometimes a way to connect with somebody is to just be there with them, physically be there with them. And then the conversation will come later. So yeah, so not when they're hungry, tired, just got off the bus, in front of the screen, read the room. Think about times that you don't feel like talking, and then try to treat your kids like that. Let them know that you're there, and when they're ready to talk, you're ready to listen. The benefits to this, you get a feel for what your kids are thinking about, and kids feel safe and connected, and it's on their terms. And maybe sometimes you don't talk about school. Maybe change up the conversation. Maybe tell them something that you saw during your day, or tell them about a little bump that you had during the day, or, oh my gosh, I went to work and spilt my coffee all over my desk. Or tell them about something that went on in your day that wasn't so great, but you problem solved and then you were able to move on. Again, using our own personal experiences can really help our kid and take the spotlight off of them so that they feel more open to talk. All right. I'm just going to check the time, get a drink of water. All right, perfect. After school strategies. We all have strategies for calming ourselves down after a day of work, right? Some of us get a glass of wine, some of us beer, some of us, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Go for a run, go work out, have a snack. My dad used to eat peanut butter and Ritz crackers all the time. I don't know, whatever floats your boat. We all have strategies that we use after work. We have to also help our kids develop some healthy strategies after school to help decompress, to help regulate their systems. Of course, I'm saying this could be helpful in the form of a checklist. Sometimes your kids have to see, all right, you got to come home. Putting your stuff away can be helpful, can be a helpful strategy so that you're not thinking about school anymore. Washing your hands, getting those school germs off, putting your school stuff away, drinking some water, getting a snack, maybe getting some fresh air. I do let my kids watch a show for like 20, 30 minutes. And we call them just short shows, like one episode of Bluey or whatever, just to think about something else and to, if they are having some uncomfortable thoughts, give them some time to just space out, or just play for 30 minutes. This helps with self-regulation. And again, those daily healthy habits. We all have things that we do, take a shower, whatever, go for a walk the dog. I don't know, go around, pick your flowers. I like to go and check out my flowers in my garden and see how everything's growing. That makes me feel good. We have to help our kids find things that make them feel good. And then we have to help them recognize that, hey, this is something that makes you feel good. You should do this again. You should go for more walks. You should take the dog for a walk. You seem to really enjoy that, and so did the dog. And now that I did just say something about screen time, I also want to say, screen time management. I'm all about balance. I don't think I'm not a person that's like no screens during the week. I think that, there's a balance to everything. I also think it's super powerful to come up with a plan together. So something that maybe you have it in your parent brain and your mom brain. I know that I don't want my kids to watch more than an hour of TV a day. That's fine. But when you present them with it, ask them, hey, what do you think is a healthy amount of time to be on your screens per day? And if they say 2 hours, you could say, I don't know. I was thinking maybe like a half an hour. And then, you negotiate and then say, all right, how about an hour? And that collaboration that helps bring in buy-in. And kids can kind of roll with that if they're like, oh, my mom's actually asking me my opinion and she wants to know. Set the expectations so that there isn't an overdose on screen time, and talk to them about what can happen if you are on your screen too much, and refer to it as a health issue, because I'm sorry, it absolutely does become a health issue if you are on a screen too much. I know for some of us, we use those blue blocker glasses. Sometimes we use those as a strategy when we're on this computer too much. As adults, I know that sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm done with the computer. I got to get up and walk away. Again, it becomes too much. It's too much for our adult brains, and it can become way too much for their little kid brains. Some ideas: screens off at 7. Again, I'm just going from my experience because I have an 8 and a 10-year-old. Again, I encourage you to adjust this based on the age of your child. However, with screen time, I think that as your kids get older and they're in the teens and 20s, you still have to work on screen time management, because now there's even more stuff out there for them to look at, and it can really impact how they feel and think about themselves if they're on social media too much, because then it becomes more of a too much social media, too much other people's thoughts. And now we have a whole different situation going on. So I suggest screens off at a certain time at night, or no screens on until a certain time in the morning. Growing up, I remember my parents, if somebody called after 8, called the landline, the home phone, your parents are like, who's calling at this hour, or who's calling so early, right? So think about that. There's a time to just kind of shut it all off. And luckily now we can shut our phones off. We can shut our ringers off. So maybe you set a 45-minute time limit, or whatever time limit. And then I suggest, if your kiddo is a social media kiddo, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I would set a time on how long they could be on social media, because I think you can really get down a rabbit hole and it can lead to uncomfortable thoughts. So again, the benefit of this gives them time to explore other opportunities, gives them time to learn how to be bored without screens, manage without screens. And again, it's a way to develop those healthy habits that will serve them not only at the beginning of the school year, but through the school year and through their lifetime. Okay, so those are my 5 tips, but I have a bonus tip, because I couldn't leave it at 5. 5 sounded good, and but I do have a bonus tip. So bonus tip: laugh with your family. This is something that I brought up before. The benefit, our brains don't know the difference between real and fake laughter. So we still get all the benefits of laughter, even when we fake laugh. So that sounds kind of weird, but we can actually trick our brains into laughing. So if you don't ever feel like laughing, I suggest set the little 1-minute timer on your phone and just try giggling for like a minute. So just kind of start off like, maybe even think about me. Allison thinks I can laugh for a minute. I don't even feel like it. And if you just get yourself laughing a little bit, our brains, like I said, they don't know the difference, and it can actually turn into contagious real laughter. So we can get all the benefits of laughter if we kind of force ourselves, fake it till we make it, force ourselves to laugh. The benefits of laughter: It decreases stress. It increases happy hormones. It connects people. Laughter is a universal language. Hello. It shifts your mindset and energy. It's a good ab workout. I don't know when the last time you really laughed hard with your friends were, but remember the next morning you were like, oh my gosh, my stomach hurts from laughing so hard last night. So get into it, laugh some more. It's a workout. And I'd rather do that than a rowing machine, to be honest with you. It stimulates your digestive system. For people with digestive problems, it can help get everything moving and help those bathroom issues clear out. And it helps you smile more. And as we all know, when you smile more, you feel better. And I think I don't know, I think there's more muscles in your face, so you burn more calories. I don't know if you care about that, but there you go. I'm also a laughter yogi, so that's why I also like to promote laughter. And this is something that somebody else wrote, but I'm just going to read it real quick. And instead, it's called The Serious Business of Laughter in the Classroom, but I added at home. And I am going to read this and I'm going to refer to the home instead of the classroom, okay? Because I think this is really powerful. And I'm also going to try not to choke up while I say it because this always like moves me for some reason. Okay. Remember to welcome laughter with open arms because somewhere life's trials and tribulations are making it hard for a child, a colleague, or maybe even you to find a reason to smile at all. So we smile together at home because we can. We chuckle in unison at home because we should. And we share laughter to revere life for every child, every adult, every human being we've lost to police brutality, violence, suicide, cancer, illness, COVID-19, for each loved one who no longer has the opportunity to laugh. And we open our minds, our ears, and our hearts to witness, hear, encourage, and join in on laughter with our children, for our children, and because of our children as a form of radical education that the world needs. Oh, I didn't write that. I wish I did. But one thing I also want to say about laughter is so good because there's no joke to get. With laughter yoga, we use laughter exercises to initiate laughter. But like I just explained before, if maybe you have somebody who won't understand a punchline, a lot of times laughter yoga is used for non-speaking individuals or elderly individuals, people with dementia, people with Alzheimer's. Everybody can benefit from laughter because with laughter yoga exercises, there's no jokes. You don't have to tell jokes. You don't have to be funny. You don't have to be a comedian. You just laugh. And once you initiate that laughter, again, it can turn into contagious laughter and we all benefit. So laughter is truly a universal language for everybody. Ways to laugh with your family, mistake laughter. I love laughing at mistakes because everyone makes them. And you know the old saying, don't cry over spilt milk. I'm sure everybody has had a child in their house spill milk or a gallon of something that is like, oh shit, you just made a mess. So instead of getting so mad about the spilt milk, laugh about it. So mistake laughter. Instead of yelling and losing your mind, just laugh and clean it up. Laughter feels so much better than yelling, I promise. Look for the good laughter. Every situation has a positive and negative. So sometimes I like to share a complaint and then I laugh about the situation, laugh about what I've learned about. Take a break, laugh at a funny clip. Don't sleep on America's Funniest Home Videos. That show is still going. And I do watch it with my kids sometimes. YouTube animal videos are always great. I know it's almost Halloween season. I think it's Jimmy Kimmel that does the videos of the parents who ate the kids' candy. They tell the kids that they ate their Halloween candies and the kids have like ridiculous reactions sometimes. That's something great to watch with your kids because you can talk about how people reacted, laugh at the different reactions, talk about maybe what they would do, how you would never do that to them. Oh, no, no, no. And then again, 1 minute of laughter. And that's what I've already explained. And I dare you to try this tomorrow or maybe tonight. try laughing for 1 minute and let me know how you feel after. Everybody will have my email. So if you try it, I would really love to hear your feedback on it and let me know if you feel better after that minute. All right, bonus tip. So I actually had 7 tips, but that sounds weird. So bonus tip, don't forget to breathe. Life is challenging, right? We need to take a minute to pause, to just slow everything down. So don't forget to breathe. There's so many different types of breathing that I'm not going to go into because I'm sure we've all heard of it. You can Google it. This is a picture of my kids from a long time ago. That's my son on the floor. My daughter was putting a feather on his mouth and they were practicing feather breathing. And the little dude in the striped, that's my son, my friend Brianne's son. So they were all working on it. So cute. So even little kids need to know how to breathe to calm their systems down, right? That's a self-regulation strategy that we all could use. And it's much easier to practice breathing when you are already feeling calm and out of the moment, so that when you are in a crazy moment and you're like, I'm feeling so upset, you already know how to breathe and you've already practiced this before. So you can recall, I know how to breathe. I know how to do my bunny breathing. That's that really upset breathing that sometimes when you're trying to catch your breath, when your kids are really upset and we call that bunny breathing. You take 2 quick breaths in and then a long one out. I suggest you try that. So don't forget to breathe. You got this. All right, brain chat. Now you all have your 7 tips, and I'm sorry, I almost took up the whole hour. Brain chat is coming up, and I'm so super excited about this. This is going to start October 25th. I have that date right? Okay. October 25th from noon to 1. No kid comes with an instruction manual. We all need a little help. These brain chats are kind of like coffee talk kind of deal, like conversations. So it's a 1-hour meeting. You can ask questions in regard to what's going on at your own house, because I'm sure it will be helpful for other people. Just please realize that we are going to have other people. So it's up to you what you want to share. I'll give some ideas for how to reinforce learning at home. It's a good way to make connections with other parents. It's good to know that, somebody else is in your same boat. And we'll probably do a little bit of laughter together because, like I said, I love to find the fun in things, and I love to laugh. So sometimes that helps to get through it. So thank you for your time and attention. Feel free to take a picture of my information if you want to get in touch with me. That is my website, Successfully Social NE for New England, because like I said, I started off in Colorado. So there's a Successfully Social Colorado and there's a Successfully Social New England. Am I unstable right now?
Nope, you're fine.
Okay, perfect. Am I unstable right now? Isn't that a funny question?
You're fine.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. I do see that we have questions. So Andrea, was that you who just raised your hand?
It is me if you have time. I have 2
Yes.
questions. First,
Yes.
how can we find out about laughing yoga? Because I feel like that's yoga I would enjoy.
Yes, and no stretch pants required and no yoga mats required. So if that's your style too, I know it's my style. Definitely join me. I used to do some virtual laughter yoga sessions, and I'd be happy to set that up. Maybe we could do one, Allison. Could we do like a laughter yoga event?
I think we could. I would be up for that, I have to say.
Okay,
Do you do it for adults or for kids also?
That's the cool thing about laughter is whenever I do my laughter yoga groups, it's for all ages. And I love having a variety of people in them. I've done laughter for just classrooms. I've done laughter for groups of people with intellectual disabilities. I've done laughter with elderly people, and my young kids have come along. So
Okay.
yeah, it's all ages. I've done during the pandemic, I did Zoom laughter. So parents would join with their kids, and we had grandparents and everybody. So it's good for everybody because you can do it sitting. It's just
right.
that thing.
Right. And then my other question is, so my youngest is 16 and we have had schedules and we have had whiteboards, and his eyes still don't see them. And I just wonder at this point, if there's any buy-in, do you do rewards? He's very, I don't know. I have my same routine in the morning. You got to take your laundry down. You got to pick up your wet towel. Like, we have our same thing. And I have to go over and touch it still if I want him to do it. He will not at 16.
Is he a phone? Does he have a phone?
Mm-hmm.
So there are some apps. So sometimes kids with phones feel a little bit more mature. More kids nowadays are so connected to their phones that it might be more helpful for him. There's lots of different apps that track your daily habits. There's one called Streaks, and you can go on like a habit streak. So if you can put in like your 5 things that you want to do, or however many things you do. And then every time you do it, you like push it or swipe it. And then it'll tell you like, oh, you're on a 5-day streak for drinking 8 cups of water, or you're on a 5-day streak for working out, or whatever. And then it'll also give you a reminder like, hey, you want to continue this streak, you have to do this today. So that could be helpful. Maybe more technology based checklist would be helpful.
He's past the sticker chart. You're right. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good question though. And I'm glad you asked that, because most of my stuff was kind of geared towards younger, but there's definitely ways to shift this for older kiddos. So if anybody has older kids and you're like, wait a second, I have a question, feel free to ask away.
Well, Andrea, I was looking on my phone and my computer because my son has an app on his phone called Stripes, but I think but I don't know if it's discontinued because I couldn't find it. But that's what we did. We because you know how there's different ways to utilize those calendars and those checklists. And so we did the same thing. We decided to make it on the phone. But I couldn't find it. So I don't know if it's been discontinued. I did find the one you mentioned though, Allison. So
Streaks. Yeah.
I'll
I'll look to see if I have any ideas for other ones. I think there was a couple other ones.
It's really
yeah.
been better. It's really been incredibly helpful. And and you know, because there's different ways at different times to use the schedule, you know, so I'd be curious if it will work with Andrea's son, because it's cool.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a good idea. I mean, he won't leave the house without his phone. So
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Really.
And kids are so connected. I mean, if you have like paper money or something printed out, they're going to laugh you out of the place. So put it on his phone. Kristen said, oh my God, it's fun. Laughter yoga. Yes, we did it with our group at Assisted Living and Dementia Care. It works for so many groups. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It works for so many people. Thanks for sharing that, Kristen. And I'm glad to hear that you've done it and you've heard about it. So
Awesome.
yeah, dementia, assisted living. Excuse me. It's hard to think about something that is fun or worthy of laughing all the time. So to know that you can just initiate laughter and then get it going is super key, I think. Any other questions for me? Because I do want to be mindful of the time. I realize I'm 2 minutes late. I try to be mindful of everyone's time. I know everyone's so busy, and I'm so grateful you joined tonight, and I hope this was helpful. If anybody has any further questions, or if something pops up tonight in the middle of the night and you wake up, oh my God, I got to ask this question. Write it down, get it off your brain, and then email me tomorrow. I'll be here. I promise. Hopefully. God willing.
Thank you so much, Allison. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.